Okay, so this is Gingerbread House Advent House 3D. And what I've done is I've taken the original ideas that I had, the concepts I had, and I've made it as a very simple 3D object. So what I'm going to do is go through it. The beautiful thing about this is it's made in Paint 3D, and because of that, it's touchscreen friendly, it is mouse and keyboard friendly, it's pen friendly. I've made a 3D object quickly. I can interact with paint directly on that 3D object. So here I'm using the paint tools, drawing on an object. And what I've done is I've added gold and a metal green texture onto the roof. I spin the light around. The gold glitters as the light twists around it. So I've used a range of 2D pens, 2D brush types to paint on the object. Now I've used the eraser to erase off the colour. Now I just want the flat, clean, plain objects there. I started making this model by actually making a 2D image with boxes on and triangles using the Shapes tool to make the papercraft style net of the gingerbread house. And if you know paint, you know it's got shape tools, squares, triangles, whatever, that you can resize and place on the screen. Paint 3D has also got these. So I'm moving a box around, scaling it, I can change the opacity. I'm using this box to make a door to put onto the net that I'm going to trace around. Once I've done that, I'm going to click on the 3D Shapes, 3D Tools tab. And the first one I'm going to show you, I'm not going to use actually, but it is the tube brush. And I like the tube brush, it is good fun. I don't often use the tube brush, but it is a great, simple 3D tool, and it's a nice one to play with. And any tool that you play with becomes something that you can learn more about. It's not about fighting to learn what you're doing, it's about making things. Paint 3D also has a range of simple primitives, spheres, cones, cubes, quarter circles, whatever. So they're there as well. Think of them like Lego bricks. You can make objects with these shapes. However, one of the coolest things about Paint 3D is this, the 3D Doodle tool. You draw a shape, it turns the shape into either a flat, edged extrusion of what you've drawn, or a soft edge, a pillow edge extrusion. Now, that is useful for loads of reasons, but the main thing is if you're working with students learning their first steps in 3D, to come out with a 3D shape is just dead easy. Now I'm tracing around the papercraft net, and if I do that with the Doodle tool, I get a pillow soft edge shape of the net shapes. Now I started by drawing on the screen, but actually that was moving the screen as I was filming it. So I swapped to using the keyboard, the touchpad underneath the keyboard, and that was a bit easier. I found it easier to interact with that. So you didn't see me finish off that shape, but I was using the touchpad to do that. I moved the object into place, then I go back to the 3D Tools tab, back to the Doodle tool, and I redraw the next shapes. So I've drawn the front of Advent House, which has the door in it. Now I'm drawing the back of Advent House, this time just with the pen. But you can see it didn't register one of the clicks because I was trying to be really light, one of the interactions with the screen, because I was trying to be really light with it, didn't want to move the screen, so now I swapped back to the touchpad. That gives me the second shape, the back wall of the Advent House. And I swap over to the side walls, the left and the right hand side. Again, it looks like I'm doing nothing because I'm using the touchpad area, but I've copied and pasted one wall, dragged it over on the left hand side, so I'm recreating the papercraft net to make the 3D shape. Now I'd already made the front wall thinner. But actually what I want to do is make all of them equally thin. So I've selected all, I've thinned them down. Now I'm going to place them in the cubic shape that I need the building to be in. When you rotate an object, it comes up with a numeric next to the rotation. So I wanted to rotate it 90 degrees, but my finger was covering the number where I was rotating it, but you can move the finger out the way. I'm moving it away from the number. I can see the number, see it's 90 degrees, move it into the right place. Then I press Select All on the keyboard, or Select All in the button tabs on the right hand side. And now I can move Gingerbread House, Advent House to the right place. I'm seeing little things that I need to change. Some of the walls that need to be moved a tiny bit, made thicker. That's a personal choice in some cases. I press 3D View, and with 3 fingers on the screen, I can rotate the screen to look at the object all the way around to make sure it's going well. Go back to the Papercraft net, and I use a primitive this time, the cube. I make it thinner. I rotate it 90 degrees so it's flat facing me. Then I rotate it 90 degrees sideways, so I'm looking at the thinnest edge, and then I rotate it. Now I'm rotating it by eye. I could probably find out what that angle is, but I am an artist and I'm no mathematician. But it's simple for me to do it by eye. I just rotate the object, or I swap to 3D View, and I rotate the screen. Now in this case I select the roof, I copy, I paste it, and I flip it on the horizontal axis. So now I've got the roof meets in a V above all the front side walls that I've made using the 3D Doodle tool. And that gives me a more arranged house. Now I've gone back to the 3D Doodle tool, and I'm going to draw a snowy edge to the roof, as if there's snow that's landed on the roof. I've hidden the background. I went to Canvas, which is the tab that almost looks like a crop symbol at the top of the screen. Went to Canvas, went to Hide Canvas or Show Canvas. Turned it off. Now I'm just looking at the 3D object. And that allows me to move, scale, rotate the snow. I've copied and I pasted it, moved it to the back of the screen. I'm rotating everything, so I'm looking at the top of the object. Press Ctrl A to select all, or select all in the icons. Now I've selected the 2 snow sides to the roof, copied, pasted them, and this time flipped them on the vertical axis. Lastly, I'm going to draw the snow at the top of the roof. Select All allows me to rotate all of the objects together as a group. And then it's a case of just by eye measurements and checking out. Now, I've copied the top snow set of the roof, but it's gone inside the middle of the building because that's where it is at the top of the roof. Now, I can do it a number of ways. I can move it, the 3D screen, move it there. I've moved it into the right place. Alternatively, on the left-hand side of all of the scale and rotate icons, you've got that icon there, a move into and out of the stage icon. It moves it forwards and backwards in 3D space. It is massively useful. It's very useful. So that's allowed me to copy and paste, and now the snow is all the way around the roof of the building. Now, when I moved it backwards in 3D space, that put it a little bit too far backwards. I'm just going to select it, move it, or in this case I'm going to redraw a new one, only because I want slightly more curves and indentations into the snow. As much as is possible, Paint will try and put things in the right place, where it thinks you want to make it, forwards and backwards, intersecting the other objects. It doesn't always work, but it is pretty smart in where it will place new objects. Now, this whole video is 20 minutes long, just under 20 minutes long. I've made all of Advent House in a short space of time. I could have made it quicker, actually. I was doing things a bit slowly to make sure I hit certain icons. I probably could have done this in 15 minutes' time, maybe. It is a lot simpler, in my mind, to do this. It's certainly a lot simpler to show young people and show people how to make this in 3D. If you think of this from a traditional 3D creation package, you're talking making splines, extruding splines, softening the outcome, and even then, that's before you get to drawing on an object, and that's one of the most important things of this. All of the objects that I've made here, you can draw directly onto, or you can put stickers directly onto. Now, as you can see, I'm just moving around the house, adding snowy indentations or bases, just so you can sort of like see it hitting a ground plane. I'll show you later it on a ground plane. That's the intention with the 3D printing as well. But at the moment, I'm pretty happy to just add snow to the object, all the areas where it's going to hit the ground. Now, in this case, I'm stretching it across the ground axis, just so I can make sure that it moves only on one axis. You can do the same thing by pressing Shift. I just thought I'd do different ways to show you different ways of moving and changing and scaling objects. Now, this final bit of snow I'm deliberately drawing in the wrong place. I'm drawing out the front, even though I've already drawn the front bits of snow. I use the move into and out of stage icon to move it backwards towards the back of the building. I rotate the whole building, and I just gently tease it into the right place. Now, that's not the only way of doing it. There are loads of ways of doing it. It's just the one way I was doing it. It's been a long teaching day. I've done 4 classes back to back. I had a meeting at lunchtime and a meeting at in my third period break, between third period and fourth period. So by the time I did this, it was the end of a long teaching day. So my brain wasn't necessarily very quick moving. But again, everything worked pretty much straight away how I anticipated it might. Lastly, I swap back to 3D tool. I pick a different colour, red in this case, dark red in this case, and I use the soft edge doodle tool to draw a door. And I rotate it in a number of axes just to check that it's in the right place. I've noticed that a couple of the snow drifts down at the base of the building need moving, so I've just done that as well while I've been rotating around. I'm trying different placements of the snow just to make sure that it merges nicely. There are different ways to do this, but at the moment all I'm worried about is making a quick gingerbread house in paint. All in all, this has probably taken about 10 to 15 minutes at the maximum to do. But the nice thing is, once it's drawn, I can start painting directly onto the object. Now, I'm going to do that later, the final paint job on this gingerbread house. But for the moment, it's just a quick wash over it with the watercolor brush, which is one of my favorite brushes in Paint 3D, with a dark brown and a black, just to give it some shading and to give it some shadows where the snow meets the gingerbread house building. Now, there are other brushes that would work really well. This crayon gives it a very nice broken snow effect on the base of the building, on the top of the roof. The calligraphy pen is very nice for calligraphic metal hinges on the door, for example. Have a play with the different pens. They all do different things. I have no idea why. Certainly on the two machines that I was demonstrating this on yesterday, the fill bucket is absolutely monumentally slow. So what I was saying to the young people using Paint 3D yesterday was, don't use a paint bucket, use a larger brush. I've no idea what's going on with it. Hopefully it's a short-term issue. Now, a little bit more painting gives me this. I'm not going to do much more in the way of painting on this object. I'm going to add the hinges to the door and a gold door handle onto it as well. The painting will come either tomorrow or the day after. I've got two videos that I'm umming and ahhing between. But for the moment, I am very happy with the 3D model that I've made. Very simply, just by tracing the equivalent of a papercraft net. I'm going to add a couple more details. I'm going to add some, on this one, some spheres onto the top of the roof as if they're Smarties on there. And again, that's just, in this case, I picked the marker pen, the felt tip pen icon, draw straight on it. I draw the spheres where I want the Smarties to be. I swap back to the watercolor brush to add shading underneath the Smarties, and black for the shadow, white for the highlight, just to give it an increased glossiness. Now, for the hinges and the door handle on the door, up until now I've been using the matte image type, or custom it might say, but generally matte paint style. But I swapped this to polished metal. That gives me a metal hinge and a metal door handle on the object. When I move the light around, when I move the object around, you'll see the light glint on the gold accents, and I think it's just a cute effect. I really like it. Now, for 15 minutes work, I'm very happy with this, and that's where I'm going to leave it tonight. This is a long video. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out more Advent House 3D stuff over the rest of December.